Welcome to today's show, Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, a motivator, a leader, and a communicator. Good morning and welcome to Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and I am so happy that you've tuned in to hear today's show. Many thanks go out to everyone who's listening around the world, and I want to give a special thank you to this person that I just found out that's been listening, that's been a lifelong friend. Her name is Sandra. Sandra, thank you so much for listening in. I really appreciate it, and I love the little note that you dropped me. Thank you so much. I hope your morning has been a great start to a wonderful day. I hope you had a great weekend. I know mine was a pretty good weekend. It's extremely hot down here in Florida. We have not a lot of rain going on yet. We did have a little bit this weekend, but not much where we're at. We did have thunder on the beach, but for those that are into racing, they know thunder on the beach is more about boat racing on the offshore boat racing than anything else. It certainly doesn't have to do with rain or thunder. So I hope wherever you're at, you had a great weekend. I really appreciate you tuning in this morning. You know, you can find out more about success and intentional lifestyle by visiting the Jeff Heiser website at www.jeffheiserradio.com. That's jeffheiserradio.com. You say I did it a little backwards this morning. Just wanted to see if you're all listening. Or you can also visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/Jeff Heiser Radio. Now this morning, we're going to close out the piece on mental toughness. I will have one more piece next week. We'll tie it all together, what mental toughness is really all about. But this is the last trait, what we're going to talk about today. And this is an important trait, because if you can't do what we're going to talk about today, you can have all of the other traits, but you're just not going to be able to get back up and take care of anything. I have to ask you, how quick are you to give up? You know, when it gets really hard, the challenge is very difficult, or whatever it is that you're trying to do gets really hard to move forward. Are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give in when those things really get tough and the going gets really tough? See, your resilience, what we're going to talk about today, resilience, and your resilience is your unwillingness to give up in those difficult times or those difficult moments or difficult challenges. Myself and many of my military friends have a saying, and it goes, never give in, never give up, never surrender. Yeah, some people think that's real silly, but I know a lot of people that think it's a very serious statement. The thing about this statement or saying is that even after all of the years since getting out of the military, this saying remains very relevant to me, very relevant with me. Anybody that knows me knows that I hate to give up. I hate to give in. I hate to fail. I love succeeding. I love winning. So it's something that I continue to live by, because it helps me get through the difficult moments. You know, when I had a very, very serious, it could have been life-changing, life-ending choice to make, it reminded me of this statement. I reminded myself of this statement. Never give in, never give up, and never surrender. It's like I said, it's something that I continue to live by. Many of the challenges most of us face in life are not life or death situations, even though they might seem like they are at the time. Most times they're not. But many of the situations are very difficult at best. And many can be life-changing with profound effects on who you are and on your life. So in a way, they are life-changing, but they're not life and death situations. Having the ability to take on and face these challenges, bounce back from the setbacks or failures, and continue to move forward towards your goals has everything to do with your resilience or your persistence to succeed. Those who are successful in life, those who seem like they win a lot or seem like they're very successful people and they accomplish challenging goals, those are the people who are willing to keep pushing forward through the heartache, through the hardships, through the pain, through the self-doubt until they succeed. That's resilience. They're simply willing to never give in, never give up, and never surrender until they get to where they want to be or achieve what they want to achieve. That's resilience. You know, there's a Special Forces instructor. I've told this story before, I think, on one of my shows. But there's a Special Forces instructor that tells a story about candidates reporting to Special Forces training. And during the training, they have numerous things that they have to do. And one of the things is that they have to go on what they call a forced march. It could be anywhere from, a couple miles to 20, 30, 40 miles. It just depends on how good the instructor feels at that time and then sets out. But before a required march, and this march is in full gear, normally it's about between 60, 70, 80-pound pack on your back, the candidates would often tell him that they were, triathlon competitors, marathon runners, football players, baseball players, black belt, holders in martial arts and what have you, and that they would finish in the front of the group. When the candidates were done predicting where they would finish, the instructor would just simply say to them, that's impressive. We'll have to find out if you can do this when your socks are wet. Now, after he did some research and after he looked at 30 years of who made it through the program and who didn't, the instructor had found that 50%, it's 50% of the candidates on average dropped out after the forced march that included an overnight march through the wetlands where the candidate's socks got wet. He calls it the wet sock syndrome. In other words, it doesn't matter what your prior experiences are, what your achievements are, what your physical conditioning or your level of endurance is. Rather, it has everything to do with your willingness to persist, your level of resilience, your ability to bounce back after setbacks like wet socks. It's a distraction. That's all it is. And those that can't put that distraction out of their mind are not mentally tough. And in this case, they're not mentally tough enough to make the program. Could you imagine if just wet socks gave you a problem of that big of a distraction, what it would be like for those people in a very difficult, maybe, situation in combat or a special mission? Yeah, wet socks. It's wet sock syndrome. I was talking with my youngest son yesterday. He had just got done doing one of his races. I think it was in Iowa or Missouri maybe. And he was telling me, how cold it was and how muddy it was and what have you. And he still came in really good. He still had a very good very, very good time, and for record times, and not they weren't record times, but it's the time that they record for the race for them. And I was telling him about this wet sox syndrome and how it's such a distraction. He says, well, the whole race I run is like that. I said, yeah, but what about the cold? What about the mud? What about the wind and the temperature? And he said, yeah, that had an effect on a lot of the people that were there. And it does. It's a distraction. It's your body or your mind trying to tell you, hey, it's cold. Do you really want to be doing this? It becomes a distraction. And so if you're not resilient enough to bounce back from it being cold, you're not going to finish. In my life, I've learned that most people stop working or stop trying at the first sign of getting tired, fatigue, or the challenge gets really tough. They simply just quit. I've seen it. I've seen people walk out of meetings and pack their stuff up and go home. I've seen people they had enough, and it was just challenging because of whatever it was that we were doing, and they just quit. They just quit. I mean, literally quit their job and walked out. However, an unusual thing happens when those type of people, when the people that quit and they're getting these distractions, but when they decide to keep pushing forward, even when they're completely wore out and they've got nothing left in the tank, well, they think they have nothing left in the tank, the fatigue that was so debilitating or the challenge that was so difficult seems to disappear. They get a second, they get a third, they get a fourth, they get a fifth wind, allowing them to continue to either face the challenge or do whatever it is that they're doing or go on with the race, whatever it is. I listened to a really interesting podcast over the weekend about one of the young athletes that came in. He came in third at the world's toughest mudder. He had over 100 miles, and halfway through, he believed that he had a problem, or it was a distraction. But he was able to put it out of his mind and continue on, and he made 100 miles. But his very first race, he barely made 45 because it was so cold and it was so bad. And the elements were, and he admits he just listed off the excuses. Second time that he ran the championship, he got, I think it was 75 or 80 miles. And he was upset with himself because he knew he could break the 100 miles. And this past year, 2016, he broke the 100 miles. Came in third. He said he was able to put all of the distractions out of his mind. Now, once you get to that level, it does become a physical and mental thing. The guys that beat him only beat him by maybe a lap or two at the most. Not a lap, a mile or two. And that's, in seconds. Some of it's in seconds, I believe. Some of it was a minute and two, something like that. So if you have the ability to put these distractions out of your head, you have a resilience to bounce back. And when you bounce back, you finish. Sometimes you finish really well. Think about this now. Really, think hard about this. If Michael Jordan would have listened to his high school coaches, there wouldn't have been a Michael Jordan in the NBA. If Thomas Edison would have quit with the first test of the light bulb, we wouldn't have light bulbs by Thomas Edison. He wouldn't have discovered it. Somebody else might have, but he wouldn't have. There's a saying that goes around, and I don't know how true this is, but it took him 10,000 tries before he found one that lasted. Are you willing to do that? Because that willingness is known as resilience. Individuals who are resilient, they find that they have stockpiles of energy that they can call on when they demand it. They can just call this up. They dig down deep and pull it out, and it comes to them. I've experienced it myself. It's just it comes from some place that it's just way down inside is all I can say. You just get this win, you get this push, you get this feeling that you can push on. And you do. They find this ability to call up this energy to continue is where most people will fall short. It's their ability to call up on this energy. Not everybody can do it because not everybody believes they can. Only a very few ever make serious demands on themselves. You know that. All you got to do is look around and you'll see. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people out there that are really being seriously challenged, but not really. Not really. But there are a few. Only a very few ever make serious demands of themselves. And those are the ones that are the big winners. We see this in business. We see it in sports. We see it in education. We see it in relationships. And just about everywhere you look. A great many of us miss succeeding at the greater accomplishments that we can achieve because we give up too soon. We give in. We surrender. We say, "Uncle, I can't take it no more." We get down to the last few dollars in our bank account and we're looking at our rent and we're saying, "I give in," instead of going out and trying to find those dollars to pay for the rent. See, we sit down. We give in. We give up. We surrender at the first signs of anything hard and challenging. And it seems to be something that, to me, it seems to be something that is becoming more commonplace than, the exception. It seems like everybody is willing to give in or give up or surrender. I don't get it. See, I see the resilience as the glue that binds the motivation, the confidence, the focus, the composure, all together. And when that's all glued together, it's providing you an undeniable mental toughness. Now, you're going to have weaknesses in some of these areas. You might be weak on focus. Maybe you're weak on confidence or on your composure. Maybe you let your emotions take over a lot. But if you can determine that and you know that, that's something that you can work on as long as you recognize it. If you're unwilling to bounce back after a setback, it doesn't matter how developed your other mental toughness traits are. You fail. That's why I said at the beginning of the show why resilience is like the piece that holds everything together, because it doesn't matter if you're motivated, it doesn't matter if you're confident, it doesn't matter if you're focused, it doesn't matter if you remain composed. If you're not willing or unable to bounce back from a setback, it doesn't matter what your physical or mental capabilities are, you fail. It's that simple. I think Vince Lombardi said it the best when he said, it's not whether you're going to get knocked down, it's whether you get up. Les Brown says the same thing. It's not whether or not you're going to get knocked down, it's what you do when you get back up. It's your resilience. Resilience is the trait that enables some people to be knocked down and come back even stronger when they get up. Instead of letting setbacks and failures overcome them and take their resolve, resilient people find ways to get back up. They find a way to fight and get back in the game. You see it on the baseball fields. You see it on the football fields. You see it in the classroom. You see it in relationships. You see it in everywhere you look in the world. The people that are willing to get up after they've been knocked down, and the people that rather stay down than get knocked down again. That's resilience. And those willing to stay down are not mentally tough. They're just not. Because if they were, they'd be getting up. So I got to ask you, are you a person that would rather stay down? Or are you a person that always gets back up? And yes, sometimes it's really, really, really hard to get back up. I know that. I've experienced that. But it's something that you just have to do. I found when I look at people that have been knocked down and decide to stay down, most of them will stay down. They will not ever come back up. They will not ever try again because they've been knocked down. And maybe they were knocked down hard. But it's like what I say to them. You don't know until you try. And the only way you're going to try is to get yourself back up and put yourself back in the game. That's resilience. Some people can get hit really hard. Some people can have the complete wind taken out of everything that they have. Sails go down onto the deck. That's it. They're done. And anybody else, they would be done. But these people find a way to fight back and come back. That's called resilience. It's called resilience. Now, I'm going to give you 4 keys. 4 keys to building a strong resilience in your life. And they're simple. Anybody can do this. Anybody. It's not, you don't have to go to the gym and be pumping iron or any of that stuff. This is simple stuff. The first one is have a positive attitude. A positive attitude gets you halfway to the finish. A negative attitude kills your start. You don't even get out of the gate. I used to tell other coaches that I was with, I'd rather have a team full of all positive kids with no skills and no physical capabilities, athletic physical capabilities, than a team full of all kinds of superstar studs that all had negative attitudes. We'd win with the positive attitude kids. And we have. Next one is be optimistic. See the glass as half full instead of half empty. It's easy. It's just changing a mindset. Oh, that's just half full. Instead of it's half empty. Next one, and we've talked about this in other traits, is important. Control your emotions. When you respond or react to a difficult challenge or challenges with emotions, you never win. You never win. You will fail to think about your response, and you will fail to think it through. And when you fail to think it through, and you leave it to your emotions, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. So control your emotions. The last one is, and this is, I can't tell you how important this one is. And this is what sets resilience apart. So listen when I say this. This is really an important one. And so many people, they just fail to see it like this. See your failures and setbacks as a form of helpful feedback rather than defeat. Because when you do that, you learn from it. And you learn what not to do and what to do to succeed. But if you let your setbacks and failures defeat you, you'll never have the chance to learn from it. So see it as helpful feedback. Because when you do it, you come out ahead. You learn from it. And it might be the one thing that you've needed to learn for years in order to become extremely, extremely successful. Even after the most significant of misfortunes, resilient people are able to change course and continue moving towards achieving what they set out to do. So we've covered motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience. Now, not only does that help you be mentally tough, that helps you in a lot of different places. And people will tell you all these different things about this is the way you make sales, this is the way you become successful, this is the way you grow a business, this is the way you do this and this and this and this and this. And I am here to tell you that if you can master motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience, it doesn't matter what you set out to do, you're going to win, or you're going to succeed and see it through. You might not win big money, you might fail, but you will see it through. You have everything you need when you have motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience. Everything you need. You'll say, oh, no, I need to know about social media. I need to know about, closing statements. I need to know how to build rapport with customers. All of that comes after you have motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience. If you don't have those, you can't build anything else. You can't build rapport with a person that you're not confident, you don't have any confidence in yourself. They'll see right through that. You can't build social media or marketing plans if you're not focused or motivated. You can't face difficult sales decisions or business decisions if you can't remain composed or if you're not a resilient person. So those 5 traits are probably some of the most important traits that you could ever master if you want to be successful. And I'll say it again. It's motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience. That's it. You master those, not only do you become mentally tough, you can master everything else that you set out to do. I'm going to wrap mental toughness up next week, but I also want you to know that we'll be coming out with a short, well, it's not really short. It'll be a course on building your mental toughness. It'll have some exercises in it, some information in it, some really good takeaways that you can go do on your own. Like I said, some exercises and some examples of what it is and what it isn't, and just a typical course but this one here is important to you because, like I said, if you can master these 5 things, and you don't have to do them excellent, you just have to be able to recognize them and do them well, you'll be successful. There's no doubt in my mind. That's one of the reasons why I do this show. I do it so that I can present ideas to you and ask you questions and make you think, all in order to help improve your life. but it's going to take thinking. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take things like doing courses on mental toughness. You know, the only time that I ever felt that I was doing something right was when I was investing in myself and in my knowledge. Doing, writing books or doing webinars or holding masterminds or doing lunch and learns or all these different things did nothing for me except for put maybe some money in my pocket, but it didn't help me grow. What helps me grow is when I invest in myself, when I learn about things about myself, like the course that I'm going to be offering on mental toughness. You'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn a lot about your ability to be mentally tough, your abilities in motivation, confidence, focus, composure, your resilience level. Now is the time to act. Now is the time to be investing in yourself. There's no better time but the present. Now is the time to take on that hard work. Now is the time for you to start taking the steps needed to change your life. Now, if you're mentally tough, don't take the course. But I can tell you, I've only met a very few people that are truly mentally tough that I wouldn't say, man, you need to work on this or that or whatever. I need to work on some of those. Don't ever underestimate the importance of investing in yourself by taking the first step. I know you have potential. We all have potential to achieve great things in our lives. It's just that some of us don't like to take that step. Some of us don't like that challenge. Some of us just don't have the resilience to do it. But I'm telling you, you can work on it, you can build it, you can move forward. You can. Thank you for joining me here this morning. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and this has been Success and Intentional Lifestyle. Now, you can hear this show every week, Monday mornings, 8 a.m., right here on Talk Network Radio. And you can also do the downloads and listen to the downloads. Or you can get the app that they have for it on both iTunes and on the Google Store. It's the app in both places is called Talk Network Radio. You just download it and you listen to it. I hope this 5 weeks was worthwhile for you. I hope you learned a lot. And don't forget, motivation, confidence, focus, composure, and resilience are all things that you need in order to be successful. Stay safe. Have a great week. And remember, nothing happens without you taking the first step. God bless. That's our show today. Remember, you have the power to live intentionally. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and I hope you will join me here again next week. Till then, stay safe, be intentional, and spread the word. Success is an intentional lifestyle.